Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's the Metalhead Potterhead here, and today we're looking at a Harry Potter book with that page 53, two wand error. It's the Canadian editions. Let's take a look. So I picked up these books recently on classified ads place here in Ireland, and I had an idea that they were Canadian. There's one or two things I've seen in the image of the listing and I thought, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they were saying first editions, first printing. So I got them. And yeah, definitely the Canadian editions. And like anyone that collects Harry Potter books, you're always told what to look out for those really expensive first editions. It'll say Joanne Rowling instead of J.K. Rowling on the information page. It has the young wizard on the back and a few other bits and pieces. But one big thing that's always listed in newspapers and articles is on page 53, there is an error where it lists one wand twice. At the beginning of the shopping list that Harry Potter needs to get his stuff from Diagon Alley, and then at the bottom of the list. So in a moment of just craziness, like I think I know a lot about books, but I opened it up and I looked at page 53 and that wand error was there, and I immediately thought, oh my god, this is going to be worth a lot of money. What was I thinking? Because I know that these exist out in the world. In the Canadian editions, that error exists and it's there, and the books aren't worth that much money, but still all these guides, if you look at like newspapers like The Independent and The Guardian, they've run stories on some of those books that sell for $80,000 at auction. And all they say is look for the two wand error. Like that two wand error does exist out in the world and the books aren't worth much. So I'm going to show you the Canadian editions. I got all 7. First 3 are paperback, last 4 are all hardback. So we'll take a look at what the Canadian editions look like, beginning with the most important one. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Canadian edition. So you can see it's got the young wizard on the back, and on the title page it says Joanne Rowling. First published in 1997, and the first time this came out in Canada, as far as I'm aware, was the year 2000. This is an 11th printing, so it's not even a first edition first printing, it's a first edition 11th printing. And still, if we go to page 53, there it is right there. And the amount of people that just look for that. I sometimes sell Philosopher's Stone books on small ads websites as well, because I get so many in my collecting. And people will just ask, oh, can you put up a picture of page 53? They're completely unaware that this exists. They just think if it has that error, it's going to be worth a lot of money. Value, I mean, there is a bit of value to this. It's hard to really say what it's worth. Probably $100, give or take. But it's still a cool book. So the Canadian editions were published by Raincoast, not by Bloomsbury. There was some kind of deal. Later books, it's like it says Bloomsbury and Raincoast on them. This just does say, yeah, published in Canada in 2000 by Raincoast Books, under license, I guess. So that's the Canadian edition of the Philosopher's Stone. Here's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, also Raincoast. Now, these are in great condition. It was the same owner that owned them from day one, by the looks of things, that I personally bought them from here in Dublin. So this is a definite first edition and first printing. And interestingly, wow, I've just noticed, it actually says first edition. It's got the number line, as you can see, 10:1, but it actually does say first edition. So here's a genuine Canadian first edition paperback. Chamber of Secrets. J.K. Rowling, 1998 Smarties Award winner. Cool, that is really, really cool. Exciting to have. Let's look at The Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, this is a strange book. In the Bloomsbury UK editions, there were some later editions are worth more than the very first few, and I can't remember why. My mind has just gone completely blank. But right now, you can see this says Raincoast and Bloomsbury on the spine. And some of the kind of plastic is coming off there. Very interesting, very interesting. Published in hardcover in Canada in 1999 by Raincoast Books. First published in Great Britain in 1999. strange. So this has the number line 10 to 1. It doesn't say the words first edition, so I'm confused. So, okay, it does say raincoast.com. Yeah, it's all Raincoast, but it does say Bloomsbury and Raincoast on the spine. Whereas for Chamber Secrets, it just says Raincoast. Very interesting. Maybe somebody who knows about the Canadian editions can actually tell me a bit more information. I did Google, I tried to find information on Canadian editions. I found nothing, to be honest. Now we get to the hardback. So this is a Goblet of Fire. Again, Raincoast and Bloomsbury on the spine. And this is a first edition 5th printing. It looks like this was printed in the year 2000 as well. Azkaban was 99, that's a strange one. Let's look at the Order of the Phoenix. Bloomsbury, Raincoast on the spine. There's no dust covers either with any of these. We got some nice artwork there from the original owner. And this is a first Canadian edition. Yeah, it actually says, number line is still 10 to 1, but actually has the words first Canadian edition. Interesting. We're now onto the Half-Blood Prince. Same spine. I'm guessing this is definitely going to be a first edition. This is so strange. So it has the number line 10 to 1, which would tell me it's a first edition, first printing. But whereas this says, actually prints underneath, says first edition, this doesn't. How odd. I am completely confused by the Canadian editions. And lastly we have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Bit of breakage on the spine by the looks of it. Same thing going on. Oh, this is really interesting. There's a print there. I think it's Maya Dial, and there's the same name on every book, so it's the original owner. Maya Dial, on this 21st day of July 2007, at 1 stroke past midnight, received my copy of this, the final installment in the Harry Potter series. That's cool. Did anyone else get that stamp? I've never seen that before in a book. That is awesome. That has made me really happy. And yeah, we're looking at, again, first edition, first printing. Doesn't say first edition, but has that number line 10 to 1. So pretty much they're all pretty much first editions, except Azkaban. Well, yeah, except for the Philosopher's Stone. These are all first edition, first prints. Oh no, one of them wasn't. But yeah, so that's the Canadian editions. Visually, there's not much difference between the UK originals, but it is interesting that first Philosopher's Stone on page 53 has that error. So if you find a Philosopher's Stone with that error, doesn't necessarily mean you've got a really expensive book. Again, like if you remember, those super expensive rare first editions is the hardback Philosopher's Stone. There was only 500 of them made, and 300 of them went to schools and schools and libraries, which meant there was only 200 out in the world. So yeah, the ones that were in libraries do turn up to auction, but they're usually in such bad condition because they're a library book. The really good condition ones of those 200 rarely ever come up at auction, and when they do, they sell for crazy money. They're the ones that have Joanne Rowling, the 2 on there. Yeah, that's the ones. That's the big bucks. Not this. I kind of thought, I had a moment of just madness where I thought, oh, I've got a book worth thousands. Clearly I didn't. I knew I didn't. What was I thinking? But I had that moment when I thought, wow, my collection has just transcended everyone else's, except for the Potter collector, of course. Anyway, that's the Canadian editions. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.